Hello and welcome to this quick 5-minute explainer. Now before we crack on, a quick shout out to Academic Zenith Online Academy. Their admissions are officially open, so book your free demo class today and avail a rather brilliant 30% discount on any course. Oh, and for more updates and handy study hacks, definitely give them a follow on social media. Right, back to the topic at hand. Today, we're decoding the legal pyramid of Islamic jurisprudence. It's a fascinating intellectual framework that has guided billions of people over 14 centuries, yet, and here's the brilliant part, it's actively being used right now to tackle hypermodern problems, from the ethics of artificial intelligence to digital finance.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for today. Number 1, roots and branches. Number 2, the divine texts. 3, the power of consensus. 4, analogical reasoning. And 5, modern-day ijtihad.
Section 1, Roots and Branches, the foundation of fiqh.
To truly wrap our heads around this system, it's immensely helpful to picture a grand, ancient tree. What we actually see on the surface, the branches and the leaves, well, that represents specific, everyday legal rulings. But obviously, those branches can't survive without a deeply anchored hidden root system. And those roots are exactly what scholars call usul al-fiqh. So if fiqh is the branch, the practical day-to-day rule you follow, then usul al-fiqh is the deep methodology grounding it. It's the systematic framework used to extract legal judgments. Without this intellectual backbone, well, legal rulings would basically just be arbitrary personal opinions, wouldn't they? This specific methodology is what ensures consistency and authenticity across centuries.
Moving on to Section 2, the divine texts.
So what exactly feeds these roots? Well, we have to begin at the very bedrock of the legal pyramid, which is the undisputed divine texts. The primary sources of Islamic law are essentially twofold. First up, we've got the Quran. Now, of its over 6,000 verses, roughly 500 of them are strictly legal, laying down direct commandments on matters like contracts, justice, that sort of thing. But the thing is, the Quran often gives the broad, overarching principle. That is exactly where the Sunnah comes in. The Sunnah comprises the documented sayings, actions, and approvals of the Prophet Muhammad. So think of it this way. If the Quran gives the explicit commandment to, say, perform a prayer, the Sunnah comes in and explains the practical step-by-step method of exactly how to perform it. Working together, they form the absolute foundation.
But here is the ultimate question for literally any ancient legal code. What happens when society inevitably evolves? I mean, how on earth does a 7th century text address 21st century dilemmas like cryptocurrency, complex fiat inflation, or organ donation?
Which brings us nicely to Section 3, the power of consensus.
Let's see how this builds with our very first dynamic problem-solving tool. It's used when those explicit texts require a modern application, and it's called Ijma, or consensus. Now, to be clear, this isn't some democratic vote among the general public. No, it is the unanimous agreement of highly qualified, independent legal scholars, experts known as mujtahids. This tool emerged right after the Prophet's passing, once direct revelation ceased. A rather famous historical example of this was the consensus among the Prophet's companions to compile the Quran into a single, standardized written text.
And this brilliantly illustrates the why. Why does human consensus hold such profound legal weight in this particular system? Well, it all comes down to a prophetic tradition, which essentially provides the ultimate legitimacy for Ijma. It acts as a divine safeguard. The idea is, if the absolute top tier of scholars universally agrees on a legal matter, that consensus becomes binding, preserving the absolute integrity of the law across generations.
Section 4, analogical reasoning.
But what if there isn't a historical consensus to lean on? What if a scholar is looking at a highly specific, entirely novel situation? Well, this brings us to the fourth foundational source, Qiyas, which translates to analogical deduction. Qiyas is a remarkably strict, logical formula. It basically allows scholars to bridge ancient precedents with contemporary issues by identifying an illah, which is the effective cause, or sort of the active ingredient behind a law. If the new issue shares that exact same trigger, it inherits the exact same ruling.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how beautifully mathematical the process is. Let's walk through the classic 4-step deduction. Step 1. We look at the original case, which in this instance is grape wine, explicitly prohibited in the texts. Step 2. We identify the new modern case, let's say synthetic narcotics. Step 3 is the crucial one, finding the effective cause. I mean, why was wine banned in the first place? Because of intoxication and its detrimental effect on the mind. So Step 4. Because narcotics share that exact same effective cause, the ruling of prohibition is directly transferred. It's just a precise, incredibly rational bridge across time.
We can actually see this applied to high-level economics today. The source material highlights how classical laws regarding riba, meaning unjust gains and interest, are applied to modern finance through Qiyas. For example, scholars actively debate how to handle delayed payments in fiat currency, like the US dollar versus the Japanese yen. If a currency's value suddenly crashes during a delayed debt payment, scholars use this exact analogical reasoning to figure out if compensating for that specific inflation crosses the line into prohibited riba, or if it's simply a fair return of value. Essentially, Qiyas prevents the exploitation of modern non-performing assets while keeping the economic engine running ethically.
And finally, Section 5, Modern-Day Ijtihad.
Bringing us fully into the 21st century, the overarching mechanism powering all of these legal updates is known as ijtihad. Ijtihad is the intense exertion of independent reasoning by a master scholar. Think back to our metaphor. If the roots and branches are the tree, ijtihad is literally the photosynthesis. It's the dynamic engine that completely prevents legal stagnation. Now, historically, some critics used to claim that the doors of ijtihad were closed centuries ago, but modern scholarship overwhelmingly shows that this intellectual exertion never truly stopped. It simply evolved with the times.
To prove that point, you just have to look at academic papers being published right now, like this one from the Journal of Transcendental Law. They're rigorously analyzing the application of these tools in contemporary muamalat, which just means transactions and civil law. The academic study of how to apply Qiyas to things like cash walk-offs or charitable endowments and modern service transactions is an incredibly vibrant, highly active field of research today.
Because of ijtihad, Islamic jurisprudence is continuously stretched to cover incredibly complex modern frontiers. Today, we're increasingly seeing something called collective ijtihad, where councils of top jurists are literally sitting down with scientists, economists, and doctors. They are actively issuing rulings on bioethics, like the permissibility of organ donation or cloning. They are the true architects behind the multi-trillion-dollar Islamic banking industry. They're even addressing the ethics of AI surveillance and our environmental responsibilities regarding climate change. And remember, all of this is being directly derived from those original 7th century texts.
So the crucial point we really need to take away is this. Islamic law is absolutely not a static relic. It's a continuously evolving, highly structured methodology. As we look at the sheer pace of technological change today, it leaves us with a truly profound question. As technology accelerates ever faster into the unknown, how will the roots of these ancient texts continue to support the branches of future ethics? It's definitely a fascinating space to watch. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember, keep questioning the world around you. Cheers.